Did you know that September is Campus Safety Awareness Month? On today's show, we'll talk about this nationwide push to raise fire and life safety awareness on college campuses. We'll also look at a new response effort being introduced by the Philadelphia Fire Department. We'll meet some of the department's fire prevention response team members and learn what they do. We have that plus a lot more, so stay tuned to Freedom from Fire. Hello, and welcome to another season of Freedom from Fire. I'm your host for this episode, Deputy Commissioner of EMS and Fire Operations, Gary Loesch. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners. On today's episode, we'll start by learning about Campus Safety Awareness Month and what that means to college students. We'll talk with University of Pennsylvania's Chief of Fire and Emergency Services, Eugene Janda, about campus fire safety issues, and we'll share some statistics. Later in the episode, we'll discuss what happens on scene when its citizens are affected by the tragic effects of fire. Philadelphia's Deputy Chief of Fire Prevention, James Renninger, will enlighten us on the endeavors of the department's newest response team. But first, let's begin with fire safety on college campuses. August and September are typically the worst time of the year for fire campus-related housing fires. Unfortunately, some students do not realize how quickly a fire can occur, and most have not received fire safety education since elementary school. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, from January of 2000 to May of 2015, there were 85 fatal fires in student dorms, fraternities, sororities, and off-campus housing. These fires resulted in 118 fatalities. That's an average of approximately 7 per year. Some common factors in a number of these fires include lack of automatic fire sprinklers, missing or disabled smoke alarms, careless disposal of smoking materials, and impaired judgment from alcohol consumption. We asked our LaSalle reporters to see what people on campus know about fire safety and the risks with college housing. Let's see what they found out in this Man on the Street segment.
Hello, I'm Christina DeLulo, and today we are around LaSalle University asking students what they know about fire safety on college campuses. We took this information from the U.S. Fire Administration's study of fire fatalities in residential buildings from 2000 to 2015. What percent of fatal campus fires occur off campus? 98%, 94%, 85%, 77%. What do you guys think?
That's an excellent question. Maybe less than 90, like 77 or 76, whatever you said. Yeah.
I think it's 77%.
That sounds right.
85%?
94%?
Correct. What was the leading cause of fatal campus fires? Arson, cooking, smoking, or electrical?
I'm going to go with cooking. What do you think?
I think cooking, yeah.
Cooking.
One, I'm gonna say smoking?
Correct. True or false? Alcohol was a factor in 76% of fatal campus fires.
That's true.
Oh, true. It's a factor in a lot of things.
True or false? 70% of fatal campus fires occurred on the weekend.
False.
False?
True.
The
worst things happen on the weekend.
Oh yeah, everyone parties on the weekends, yes.
True.
You guys are both correct. True or false? 73% of fatal campus fires occurred between 3 p.m. and midnight.
True. True.
Actually false. What month was the peak month for fatal fires in campus housing? September, February, April, or June?
September?
May.
I'm going with September.
Yeah, so April.
April?
Correct. What month is National Campus Safety Awareness Month?
We with maybe April. I would think August.
October?
April?
September.
What he says.
Yes. What month is National Fire Prevention Month?
September.
September?
Yeah, September.
October.
November.
Actually, it's 1 month after September. Therefore, it's October. In what month should you be most diligent about fire safety? I think this is an answer that is pretty simple.
All year.
Yeah, we should.
Hopefully.
We'll go with 12 months.
Isn't it every month?
Yes, all 12 months.
Every month.
Yes, correct. Every month. Fire is everyone's fight. I'm Christina Dolo, and we hope you learned a little bit about fire safety on college campuses.
Thanks to our reporters for that segment. As we always stress, fire is everybody's fight, and that includes college students. To help us better understand the issues with college housing, let me now introduce Chief Eugene Janda. Chief Janda is University of Pennsylvania's Chief of Fire and Emergency Services. He also spent 22 years with the Philadelphia Fire Department. Thank you, Chief Janda, for joining us today.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Loesch. I appreciate being here today.
Given the factors I mentioned in relation to campus fires, are there regulations in place or requirements for automatic fire sprinklers?
At the University of Pennsylvania, the trustees over 18 years ago made a decision that every residential dormitory was going to be sprinklered, and so that every student sleeps with a sprinkler head over their head at night.
Okay, is it common to not be in compliance?
Well, sometimes off campus, we have students who move off campus, and when they move off campus, they move into an environment where they do not have sprinklers, and sometimes the fire protection may not be up to the standards that the university has in their buildings on campus.
Okay, do students receive any kind of seminar training addressing these concerns related to either careless smoking or alcohol consumption?
Yes, there's a number of ways in which the students find out about these type of programs, and they have a program at alcohol and other drugs where they're educated about what they will encounter if they decide to drink on or off campus. And other ways that they are educated, every freshman is required to come into the Division of Public Safety where fire safety is stressed, and we talk about an off-campus fire during that fire safety segment. So that actually show a small video where that was actually captured on video right behind our headquarters, where we had an off-campus property catch fire with students inside the property.
Is this something they do every year for the students or just when they're freshmen?
It's freshmen, and we also stress with RAs and GAs in the college houses through the residential dormitories that they make sure that they spread the word about fire safety across each and every student on the campus.
Is there anything else that you do as the chief for the students that you do yearly or anything like further like that?
We also work closely with the off-campus safety program that we have. And we worked with the Philadelphia Fire Department and the local companies to make sure that students are aware that they should be living in safe environments.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add, or anything that we may have missed here?
Well, sometimes I look at what I learned in the fire department as like a family as a team. And the thing is that we try to build those teams inside the college houses that we have. And those college houses, building teams to make sure that if people have to evacuate, to get up, get out, account for themselves outside of the building, and that's the way they're going to make sure that they're safe.
Okay, don't you have something coming up soon for training for your students?
Well, on September 29th, out at 40th and Walnut Street, we're going to have, it's in the morning from 10 to 11:30. it finishes up, this program that we have is going to finish up with a side-by-side burn. It'll show how a sprinkler room and a non-sprinkler room, how fast fire can be controlled by the sprinkler, or how quickly an entire room can be consumed by fire. It's a very powerful demonstration, and it's open to the public. So that's, again, Friday, September 29th, from 10:30 and around 11:30, we'll have the side-by-side burn.
Yeah, I have to admit, I've partaked in that quite often. We have Philadelphia Fire Department companies over there, and it's really good training. And it's not just for students. Anybody can see how sprinklers protect their homes.
That is correct. We welcome the entire Philadelphia community to come out and witness this powerful demonstration.
Okay. When students first are brought into school, okay, and you said as freshmen that they have to go through this program, and the RAs, have they given any additional training, and do they inspect rooms? How does that happen? Or when you have like breaks at Christmas and the spring break, do you all go through and check the rooms for any kind of fire hazards that could be on campus?
Well, we do that specifically with the residential houses, the residential college houses, and also in the fraternity and sorority houses. We have a robust inspection program where we continually go through the properties and make sure that people are not doing things like covering smoke alarms and things like that. Sometimes they have a party, decide they're going to smoke, they cover a smoke alarm, and that's the first line of defense, as we all know. Smoke alarms have to be active if they're going to do the job that they're designed to do.
And I take it they're the 10-year lithium smoke alarms that are required?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Anything further you'd like to add?
Well, a lot of the things that I learned as a firefighter in Philadelphia, I apply out at University of Pennsylvania. I think it's one thing to constantly make sure that people are aware, because fire sometimes sneaks up on you. It gets you at the last moment when you're asleep and things like that. And that's why we have to stress fire safety all the time.
Thank you. We hope through Campus Fire Safety Month that students realize they are not invincible. Fires do happen in campus-related settings, and that students should take steps to practice fire safety no matter where they live. Thank you again, Chief Janda, for sharing your insight with us.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner Loesch.
We need to take a quick break, but when we return, I'll introduce you to some of the people behind the Philadelphia Fire Department's latest initiative, the Fire Response Team. Please stay with us.
It's learning how to code or make video games and websites.
Not only can you post videos online, you can make your own.
It's learning about leadership.
Together we are Tech Girls.
This is Kevin, and Kevin could use some kindness. Here's Ian. He could be that man. Ian chooses to be inconsiderate and not hold the door for Kevin, and in turn, Kevin suffers. Kindness may be a choice, but doing so is always the right one. So if Ian can make the right choice, you can too.
I see my friends out there getting waves and talking about them, and I know exactly what they're doing and what they're feeling and everything. It's like, it's hard. I was diagnosed when I was 57. It was a surprise to me when they told me I had MS. It's like, you sure?
Well, the idea is this is a 360-degree virtual reality camera rig. Steve hasn't been able to ride a wave in way too many years, so now I'm going to ride a wave and we get to share it with him. Well, we're going to do something.
Just put that on your head.
Whoa.
Oh, this is unreal. Coming up, coming up, coming up. Boom. Nice. Nice. This is fantastic.
And let me set it up and you get into the
Set it up.
ride.
Let's do that again.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Deputy Commissioner of EMS and Fire Operations, Gary Loesch. In recognition of the need for extended services to those who need it most, the Philadelphia Fire Department has activated the Fire Prevention Division Response Team, partnered with Red Cross. This response team will serve to expand the fire department's ability to provide 24/7, 365 assistance to those citizens affected by tragedy. Here with us today is Deputy Chief James Reninger of the Fire Prevention Division, as well as the response team on duty this afternoon. Thank you, Chief Reninger, for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Commissioner.
Thank you, Lieutenant Lamar Wheeler.
Thank you for having us, Commissioner.
And Firefighter Dwayne Frazier. Appreciate you all attending today.
Thank you.
So before we get into this, I'd like to reiterate a little story and why it has led to, for one reason, the formation of this response team. As we talk about, and you well aware of this, that we have many citizens in Philadelphia who believe that fire won't happen to them. Well, I'm the example of why that is so untrue. Approximately 5 years ago, while I was actually on shift as a chief in the Philadelphia Fire Department, I heard my own address come over the radio in my vehicle. And I turned to my driver and I said, "Did you hear that? Was that my address?" And it happened that it was his first day driving me. And he said, "No, Chief, I didn't know that was your address." Well, it turns out it was my address. So how surreal was that to hear your own address come over? So I ended up actually responding to my own home. And when I got there, I found the whole second floor of my home on fire. Obviously, the fire department went into service and did a heck of a job knocking down the fire and doing everything that we take for granted as firefighters that we always do. But after the fire was over, one of the things that really struck me was I've always been on the other side, as you would say, the fence. And as we clean up, I would meet the homeowners and the occupants of the homes, and I would say, sorry for your loss. Luckily nobody got injured, and your possessions can be replaced. Well, this particular day, I was actually on the other side. I remember sitting in a lawn chair in my backyard, looking up at my house, broken windows, water running out of the doors and the windows, all my possessions thrown out in the backyard. And I'm sitting there by myself just wondering what I was going to do. And I had, at that time, no help. I just didn't know. I had never been in that position before. So, Chief, now we fast forward. Now we've come to this position whereas we've put this fire prevention response team in. So can you tell me, now, as this team has been newly put up, what's some of the dispatch criteria?
Well, the dispatch criteria for the fire prevention response team is basically fourfold. The initial criteria is an all-hands response box, which is basically a large fire in a single building that requires a significant amount of manpower to extinguish. The second criteria is the response team can be dispatched at the discretion of the incident commander. And you know, we all know that you can't prepare for every eventuality in a fire or an emergency. So we give the incident commander the discretion to request a response team if he feels he needs it. The other criteria are at the discretion of the fire commissioner or his on-duty deputy commissioners, or the fourth one is any fire fatality, fire injury, mass casualty incident, or a high-profile rescue, because one of the byproducts of a public safety emergency is the attention that it brings from the neighbors surrounding it. And we view this as our opportunity to get the word out about smoke detector installation, fire safety. Imagine a fire at 10:30 at night on a heavily populated, densely populated city block. Everybody's out on their porch watching it.
Perfect time.
And that's when our audience is available. And that's part of the thinking behind the fire prevention response team.
Okay. Now, like we said earlier, you brought your response team that's actually on duty today. So I'd like to ask you, Lamar Wheeler, what is some of your background in the department and in fire prevention?
Part of my background is I worked at Unit Rescue 1 for 14 years, and just being there and seeing all the different types of rescue and different incidents that we responded on there, that kind of helped us, well, helped me with transitioning into fire prevention. So again, as you said, I'm on the other side of the fence now. Now I'm providing a service for the people there who are displaced, who need information, smoke alarm installation, and things of that nature. And we also do the public information officer sheet, so when a deputy chief or commissioner comes up, we have that information ready for them to address the media.
I know how valuable that is, as I end up having to talk to the media, and the information that you have accumulated when I get there is invaluable for me to give correct information to the public.
Yes.
Firefighter Frazier, what is your background? I know we used to work together at one time.
Yes, I was stationed at Engine 45 for over 12 years, and then I taught at Randolph Career Academy. I've been in fire prevention for 2 years. I also was a deputy chief's aide, but I've been in fire prevention for a little over 2 years.
Okay. How many members do you have on the team currently, Chief?
Currently, there are 8 members on the fire prevention response team. There's an officer and a firefighter on each of 4 platoons. So every day there's an officer and a firefighter assigned to the response team, and they respond citywide.
Okay. Now you were talking about some of the criteria where they respond, but is there anything they do special procedures or circumstances? Do they put tables up for fire prevention, things like that?
They can be used for those activities that we do. They remain in service and they perform fire prevention activities when they're not responding to fires. But on the fire ground, their duties involve going into damaged and burnt houses to get personal effects for victims of house fires, medications, anything reasonable, because we don't want civilians re-entering affected dwellings affected by fire.
Now, the Red Cross, they're an excellent partner for us.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me what their response is when we meet you out on the fire ground?
The Red Cross Disaster Action Team provides temporary shelter for people displaced by fire. They are an invaluable asset, and they basically help transition it starts as an emergency response, and then it ends up as a social response by the Red Cross, because when the emergency response is over, the fire prevention response team bridges that gap between the fire department and the Red Cross.
Okay.
So,
don't we have anybody else comes out on fires that you deal with? Are you like a logistical team out there to a certain extent? I know they have Red Paws.
Red Paws is one of our great partners, and in a larger type incident, we had the building down on Chestnut Street that night, and OEM showed up, the Office of Emergency Management. They effect temporary shelter on larger incidents and evacuations.
Okay, thank you. Because of our expert understanding of the devastating effects of fire on the community, the response team, along with every member of the Philadelphia Fire Department, take great care and pride in servicing the citizens of Philadelphia. I'd like to thank you all for being here with us today for our return episode of the season. Remember, if you'd like to find out more about LaSalle TV, you can check out our social media sites. And if you are interested in learning about the Philadelphia Fire Department, visit our Facebook, Twitter, and web pages. I would like to once again thank all our guests for joining us today. I also would like to thank you for tuning in and watching. So until next time, remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and remain free from fire.